Hello and welcome to our episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb. We are here at the AI and Capital Markets Summit in New York City, brought to you by the A-Team Group, and it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Theo Bell. Theo, how are you?
Great, thanks. Nice to see you again.
Lovely to have you on the show. So, loads of stuff to talk about today. You've been on the panel already, talking a little bit about where it's gone. It's on one of the most glamorous subjects of the day today. We're going to go into that. We're also going to be talking about your role. I love the title of your role, Head of AI Product within Rhymes. Loads to dive into in that, and all of some of the biggest buzzwords and topics within the space at the moment. But before we do that, give us a little background to yourself and the company.
Sure. So I've been at Rhymes now for almost 2 years in the role. Before that, I was at a company called Palantir for 8 years. You might have heard of it. Been in the news a lot. And before that, I sort of grew up at Goldman Sachs in the equities electronic trading. So I sort of see this role as sort of bringing together the two backgrounds, the finance and the data and AI.
And Rhymes obviously a very name that speaks for itself. But give us a little bit of a snapshot for people who haven't heard.
Yeah. So Rhymes, I mean, we're all about enterprise data management. Traditionally, we sort of grew up in the benchmark and index space, but then that evolved to sort of go further up the food chain in terms of mastering and managing data on people's behalf. And we also have an investment management platform. So it's really the full service solution, right, from end to end.
Fantastic. And the panel you've just been on, I had jokes beforehand about the sort of glamour of the whole thing, but tell us a little bit about what you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot about data quality, right? Which I think, a lot of us.
It is one of the most important foundations of this whole thing, right?
It is, and I think it's something that a lot of people found boring or sort of put down to the bottom of the priority list for a long time. But the first thing that happens when you try to do AI on your data is you immediately find, the stock where the corporate action's been improperly applied or things like that. And so it's a really good way of finding all the holes in your data. And so now everybody's thinking, what do we actually need to do this? And it's use case specific, but there definitely has to be a focus now on actually having good quality data and having ownership and governance.
And if you were to say people who are watching that, maybe you wanted them to leave with sort of three key messages that you'd have done for that, what would those messages have been? What do you want people to be telling their kids about when they get home?
I think it's just a lot around that, like sort of making sure that you do have good quality data, and that's where, somewhere like Rhymes can help, because like that's sort of our bread and butter is giving people this AI-ready, good quality data. And then, make sure it's trustworthy, right? Yeah. Like you want to make sure you have transparency, you have the link back to the original data point so that people can actually trust this, because there is a lot of hallucination, and maybe a number comes back and you can't trust it, but you need to sort of know what the confidence is in that.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, I guess it's all about people, right? Like we're not here trying to like replace everybody. We're here to help people do their jobs better.
Yeah, augmentation as opposed to
exactly. Keep the human in the loop and things like that.
And so that hallucination piece is really interesting, isn't it? Because it still remains the barrier for full adoption in my mind with it. How are we improving that situation? Just through the quality of the data?
To the quality of the data, but also having smaller, specifically tuned models, or even, I guess, getting more towards the agents. Like, if you have a big model that can do anything, it's very difficult to assert that it's going to do it correctly.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have something that you fine-tuned, and that could be even a machine learning model or something that has a very specific purpose, it's much easier to test it and make sure that it's doing the right thing. And then you can chain those together in an agentic type system and actually have a bunch of things that you have some reasonable confidence that are actually going to work.
And your role as the head of AI product, one of the coolest roles in the world at the moment, isn't it really? But it's one of those things which always fascinates me, because you're the head of a area of technology that is moving at a pace that we've never seen anything move at in the history of all tech. So tell me how that impacts your role.
Yeah, it's interesting, because the pace is an interesting point of it. So yeah, I mean, my role is, we're not trying to pivot our business model or anything like that. The role was very much like use AI to make our products better and more relevant, and that's what I've been doing. But there's all it's very easy to not be able to make a decision because there's so many options and things are moving so quickly. And I didn't take me too long to realize that doing nothing is the worst solution of all. So you just do something and maybe it doesn't work, right? So we set up our AI lab as our, a way of doing experiments. I had a ring-fenced team of engineers, and we could just do stuff.
Is that something you drove, or the business said, look, we want to get into that, and you?
No, that was my plan when I joined. But some of the things didn't work, right? And that's fine. There were experiments. And then now I think we've evolved into a point where, rather than having that isolated team who don't know as much about the business, but they know AI, everybody's general awareness of AI has increased. So like a lot of the people, say for instance, working on our investment management platform, they have tons of ideas for what they want to do with AI agents. They just don't have the skills. So I'm embedding now my AI engineers into those different product teams so that they can sit with the people that really have the ideas and the business knowledge to actually do something, because trying to do it with an isolated team before, they just didn't have the knowledge. So they could experiment with some things, but it was never really going to be something that was super valuable. And that's I guess how it's involved.
Yeah, definitely. And that evolution, I think, is a key part of it. I love what you said there about just trying things and just experimenting. And everyone I speak to, and this is a wonderful advantage of this whole space, is it's encouraged innovation at a level we've not seen before. Everyone recognises that you haven't got to go all in on a project and then it has to succeed. If there's failure in it, it's wasting millions of pounds, etc. This is something now where we can tweak this, try this, move this into this sort of area, and it's bred this incredible wave of innovation thinking, of people trying different things, of not being afraid to fail with it, or of moving more stuff into it. That makes it, to me, a really exciting one.
Yeah, because traditionally, if you said I want to do a big IT project and it might not work, people would have been like, okay, that's a bit weird, right? But then you
especially when you look at the cost of failure of everything in over the years.
But also, we had the other panel about moving from POC to production, because it's one thing to experiment, even successfully. But then how do you actually turn that into something? And that's also something we've been facing, like this build versus buy, right? It's like, can you do something yourself? Yes, you can, but do you really want to commit to supporting it long term and everything that means, when you could just pay somebody else something like $25 a month, which seems like a big amount, and then you realize, well, actually it's not that much if we're actually going to have two people supporting this thing full time. Like it's probably better to do that. And I think the other thing to remember is that it's all going to be different again in 6 months. Right? So don't worry about it. Focus on making your little, agents, your little expert things, and then put them in whatever framework happens to be the best one, the flavor of the month at the time, right? Because the only certainty here is uncertainty, basically.
And that's a really interesting point you say about it's going to be different again in 6 months. From your perspective, as a guru within the AI space, how does it feel about doing something there where you're going to be, again, underskilled in six months' time? It must be a really interesting space.
You have to read a lot and listen to a lot of podcasts. And make sure you just keep talking to people, right? And I think
there is, because everyone wants to talk. It's very collaborative, right?
It is. It's true. That's the things like this. Like everybody's here sharing their ideas and what's worked and what hasn't. And I think people have been very open about failures and things like that. But I think we are sort of going to get to a world where my agents are talking to your agents, and I think some of that's happening already. But I think that's just it's going to keep changing.
The world that we live in. And you mentioned one of the panels before. Julia, who was moderating that panel, talked about her views of efficiency versus productivity, and sort of moved herself to the productivity side of it, is where her heart lie. You mentioned efficiency beforehand, and were speaking about sort of the opportunities around internal operational efficiencies. Both of them are. The catchphrase of this week for me has been efficiency and productivity. Catchwords. Efficiency and productivity. Tell me what efficiency looks like to you.
Yeah, so our business has traditionally been very focused on customer service, and that means that we have a lot of people in that space. We have a lot of incoming queries, and we have a lot of data now that we can basically leverage, particularly when you put it into a digital twin with a solid data model and ontology. You can then really easily do AI on top of that, and you can have a little agent that sort of watches the incoming support tickets and figures out which team do I give them to. Is it an easy problem I can give to a junior? Is it a more complex problem I need to give to a senior? You can then have another maybe supervisor agent, which sort of monitors over time. Are we providing the right level of service to people? Is there too many back and forth? Do we need to do more training? And so it's very much about augmenting those humans in those roles so that they can be less frustrated, do less passing of tickets back and forth, and more just actually serving our clients faster. And there's tons of stuff that we're doing in that space, and I think it's a super interesting time to be doing it.
I suppose you mentioned the sort of agent piece and the more POCs that we're seeing with they're coming through in that sort of area. I think this someone said to me at the start of this year that 2025 was going to be the year of agentic AI. And I think if anything has moved at pace this year, and more conversations I've been seeing on a daily basis around it, it's the agent piece, or bringing good agents, working out where that sits into it. What are we seeing there?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. And what we're going to start to see is sort of standardization. I don't know, Model Context Protocol, or MCP, is one of the buzzwords around this. It's just a fancy word for API, basically. But like, if we can agree on like a lingo for these agents to talk to each other, then it becomes much easier for us to sort of move with the times, but also connect and talk to one another.
Yeah.
And I think also, like I was saying, like the trend to make them smaller and more specialized means that they can actually be reliable. And you can sort of incrementally build it as well, right? You don't have to worry about like rolling out some mega AI project for everybody all at once. It's sort of like you do one agent, then you add a second and a third and a fourth, and eventually you get this whole network working together. But it's in a way that you can build it up, and maybe if one of them doesn't work, you can it, and you do something different, kind of thing. So,
when it comes through that, I mean, we were talking off camera about the whole concept of armies of agents sort of coming through in there, and the impact that that has on people and such like. You've also intimated beforehand about this is about allowing people to do proper work, the work that really matters, and focus on that sort of area. What do you see? How do you see the landscape shifting within AI and capital markets specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think
from a human perspective.
From a human perspective, because like when I see teams of people, cutting and pasting things into Excel and refreshing it 15 times a day, it's like that's not what they want to be doing, right?
Yeah.
They're there because they want to be doing a job, and that's like adding value to the business. And so I think that, like, yes, the jobs will change and the landscape will evolve, but I don't see a world where we don't have any humans doing that kind of stuff anymore, right? It's more of this, we're going to have people actually doing sort of more fulfilling roles and being able to serve more clients with the same number of people, right?
Yeah. And in terms of where you see everything heading, if we're there and we're looking at the sort of next 6 months of it, we're lurching very quickly towards the halfway point of this year.
Yeah.
We've seen enormous acceleration within this space, I think, over the course of this first half of the year. What do you expect to see in the second half?
I think there's a panel coming up about like actual agents in production. I think everybody's talking about it right now, and that was something else that was revealed earlier, was to like, we do a lot more talking about it than we actually do. Right? Like, I think there will actually be some stuff that's real by the end of this year. And that's going to be fun, because I think there's been a lot of hype in the AI space and a lot of talk, and I think there's a lot of people who are trying to, are we ever actually going to get any value from this, rather
than the talking is over.
Exactly.
But I'm starting to see that as well. It does feel like there's value that's coming through from a lot of people. There does feel like there's winners who've been the early adopters who've really tested and tried, and it definitely feels like there's movement in it all at the moment. Let's round up by talking a little bit about Rhymes. So obviously a company that's committed to this space and doing some pretty innovative things, and it's always been a sort of highly respected business in the capital markets arena. Tell us a little bit about what's exciting for you guys. What can we expect to see from Rhymes over the course of this year?
So I think next year we're celebrating our 30th birthday. Right? So we've been around a while.
It's so cool, something exciting to see these these fintechs
that have grown up, right? Yeah. I think for us it's really about getting the message out there that we do more than index and benchmark data, which we still do very, very well. I think we have the biggest market share there, but that we do lots of other things, and that we are thought partners, and we want to help you come along your journey, right? Like a lot of my talking to clients about AI is about how can I help them with what they're trying to do, not necessarily directly through a product, but by giving them some expertise or a particular data set or things like that. And so I think it's really, I guess for me, about becoming a more valued partner to our clients over the next few years.
Well, Theo, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Cheers.
And thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.